Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is Friday the 13th, again, one of those last month too. In the month of March 2015, we have some new announcements, some new kits, and some reissues to talk about today. So, good show, I think, going into it, looking at it. Second week of the month is turning into my favorite time of the month because that tends to be when we get all of the announcements for the next month's spot runs, as well as we usually start getting in some of the new kits for March as well. Guys, it's been a little warm around here as of late. It's warm enough the other day that we actually we got a chassis pan painted for the McLaren 12C that we're doing for Tactical Jackalopes top speed build, and that I have been working on the body work for the actual body itself. You see, there's one part of the vehicle itself, and then the other side comes with a convenient paint mixer. Well, actually, both sides did, but obviously this side I've already done. Hopefully, weather withstanding. Here's the other one. I'll get this in the paint on Monday, I hope, because we're supposed to have a really nice day on Monday. I was kind of hoping I'd get something done with it today, but we got rain moving in this afternoon, and the bodywork was in such a state that it's not bad. It's just a lot of it to get all those panels to the replacement panels to line up right. I'm trying to figure out what I can and can't actually put on the body itself, prior to painting the entire thing as a whole, rather than trying to paint it in pieces and then glue it all together afterwards. There are some builds in the future where I probably will leave those side coves off and paint them at a separate date, or not a separate date, but just due to the fact that they're, a lot of the ones that I have coming up from the McLaren 12C decals that I have are, different color doors and stuff like that. That is one nice thing about that kit. The way it's designed is the separate doors allow you to sort of mask off things a lot easier when the entire side of the car is separate. When you're doing an all-black car like I am, it's kind of a pain in the butt because I got to try to put it all together as much as I can, to get all of it done, because you're never going to really match colors like you will if you paint everything all at once, and the less stuff that you have to try to glue on afterwards, the less glue you can swap around, obviously. So, anyway, we're going to do an actual update on that once we get the chassis up on wheels. I have all the parts painted for it. I just need to start gluing things together, but I was working on the bodywork this morning, trying to get that, like I said, at least in primer, but it's not going to happen. We'll get it painted on Monday. As you can tell, it's been warm, and all of the trees went earthquake. Actually, that was just my cat jumping on the table, which bounced the stand that I keep the laptop on. It got warm enough to paint, obviously, and all the trees went pollen, and my nose and throat went, screw you! And so I'm going to be sucking on this water throughout to try to keep my voice, because while I don't have a cough, everything is sort of draining down and making me have to clear my throat a lot. So, apologize in advance, but we'll proceed forward. A couple pieces of news. They're kit-related, but not actually anything to do with what was announced this week. The 50th Anniversario version of the Aventador from Aoshima has been delayed until tax day for people outside of the United States. That's April 15th. Everybody here in the United States knows what day tax day is. We did get box art for it last night, or real early this morning, depending on how you will look at it. So the box art's done. It's approved. They're just doing a little fiddling with the tooling to get everything to fit together. And I'm guessing the second release date's probably going to be the one that's going to be reasonably close to it. We still have no word from Fujimi as to what they're planning to do with that Lotus Europa. They obviously did do their April spot run announcements Wednesday morning. And so I'm waiting for them to update their website to reflect, the month of April being added on to the new release list, and hopefully it'll be there, because as of right now, like I said, it's just AWOL from the release list altogether, and it was supposed to be a March kit, so I don't know what we're doing there. So like I said, that takes care of the delays and whatnot news. Now going to the Notebook of Knowledge for our new announcements as far as April spot runs go. We got something from 3 out of the 4. There's nothing from Tamiya, but Aoshima, Fujimi, and Hasegawa we have stuff from. On the Aoshima front, they're going to be rerunning the 2010 Toyota Hiace Super GL. This is just a factory stock curbside, I would say unassembled promotional model. It's in that genre, but there are a great deal more pieces to a large van than there are to, say, like a Corvette or something like that. So it is fairly parts intensive, more than a regular curbside, just because Hiace is a full size, at least as far as Japan's concerned, a full size van. So there are like 3 rows of seats in the back, and I believe unless something is different about this that's different from the 07 one, the rear hatch opens. And so, like I said, it's just a factory stock version. I don't know that it was actually out of stock, but it's being rerun. Also being rerun off that same kit is the boxy style 2010 Hiace. This is a VIP van, big wheels, aerodynamics, spoilers, ground effects, all that sort of goofy stuff. Going to rerun the Sea West Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10 Racing Edition. You may recall that was run last fall. Well, this was just this past fall. So obviously that has sold out and needed to be run again. They're also going to be rerunning the Hilux, Toyota Hilux double cab lift up. That is the 4-door long bed Hilux that's with a great big jacked up suspension, as well as from the initial D series, Sakamoto's Suzuki Cappuccino. For those people who aren't real familiar with your K cars in Japan, the Suzuki Cappuccino is this wee little, the model kit body, literally, guys, it can't be any bigger than that. This wee little convertible. Think of a Mazda Miata, only smaller. It's about the same size as a Daihatsu Copen. The only real difference with the initial D kit from the regular kit is addition of some parts. I actually have a original run Suzuki Cappuccino that I got over the summer, so I have the real kit to compare against the parts chart. And it looks like the only difference is you get like a front bumper cover. Like the front bumper is integrated in the body shell itself, so you get a sort of a front bumper covering to replicate the front bumper from the comic strip series. It has like integrated fog lights and a big sort of front air dam that the actual stock version wouldn't have, as well as a set of racing seats and behind the seat sort of roll hoops. They said a roll cage, but it's not a cage itself. It's just like the rollover head protection thing, like let's say the Mercedes-Benz SL500 had, but that was a giant bar. But if you know what I'm talking about, it's just little metal roll hoops that just basically cover the very top of your head should you roll the vehicle over. It can be built as just a regular stock Suzuki Cappuccino. The Cappuccino itself has not been in production recently, so getting this kit back just in general is kind of nice if you don't happen to have one and you're into the small Japanese, with our K cars, the little subcompact cars. And there's that, the Honda Beat, and the Daihatsu Copen are all about the same size, and all those kits are out there in one form or another at this point. Over at Hasegawa, they're going to be doing a limited edition, which of course means this is going to be a few thousand pieces of the Lancia Stratos HF Rally car. This is going to be pretty much just a straight reissue of the car itself. The limited edition factor is for the 1977 Monte Carlo Rally, and it's going to be replicating a privateer team. It's not one of the Lancia backed factory teams. It's sponsored by Esso Oil and a Greek company, which I'm not about to try to pronounce. But the significance of it was in 1977, this car was driven and co-captained, co-driven. I don't know if you really switch out drivers in a rally like that, like you would in like an endurance race. But as far as the driver and the co-driver in the navigator position there, they were both women. And in 1977, they finished 6th overall. And I believe, if I understand the research that I saw right, it is still the highest placed finish for an all-women driving team for that rally. So you're going to get a new set of decals to replicate this Queen of Speed vehicle. But other than that, it'll just be the regular kit. Kind of an interesting choice of vehicle. I mean, it's historically significant. Didn't see it coming. But it's just another way for them to trot out the rally tooling. Remember that Lancia is curbside. It was just put out again this past fall in a couple different versions. So like I said, just another version. But like I said, it's a limited edition thing. Once it sells out, it's not going to be just sitting in the catalog like a lot of Hasegawa kits. Like a lot of kits just generally do. And over at Fujimi, you got 4 spot runs for April. One is the McLaren F1 DX. Now, this is the McLaren F1 road car, not the race car. This is one of these kind of things because the actual car itself came out, the actual kit for the car itself came out in like 2013 or maybe early 2014. I want to say 2013. And there has never been a DX version of it. We're going to talk about the Ferrari F12 Berlinetta DX, which came out as a new kit this week. But that is an existing upgrade kit. The DX kits, when you see a DX tag on a Fujimi kit, that means it has photo etch inside. And they never did a DX version of the McLaren F1 way back when the kit came out. And I sort of, everybody who's got one knows the problems the kit has. It's probably it was not a good year for Fujimi that year. They did the McLaren F1 road car. It has some problems with the body. It's got the shoddy one-piece engine insert. The Veneno came out the same way, but eventually they did go back and put an engine in that kit. And then the Pantera came out, and it wasn't very good body proportion-wise. It was a really weak year for them. So that, it's the only game in town unless you want to go find a long out-of-production resin kit. But, be aware that it's not, like really good Fujimi, which is, sort of like saying really good MPC in certain circles. I mean, those of us who deal with Fujimi kits a lot know that they are, well, they're certainly not the bottom of the barrel. I mean, they're still in business. They're not Tamiya by any stretch of the imagination either. Build really nice kits if you want to put some work and time and effort into things, but it's not exactly going to fall together out of the box, and it's not exactly the most proportionally accurate kit as far as the body goes. That goes without saying, that weird engine insert thing that they put in there. But so they're going to do a photo etch version of that. And then they're going to, in both these two kits have two things in common. They are going to have window masks in them for the first time, and they're both going to come out in that Tosha Mountain Pass series that they just recently did, 4 kits a couple months ago in. And they are the Toyota Cresta GT GX71. The last time this was out in the Mountain Pass boxing was 2007. It's currently available just as it is. It's in stock, at least in Hobby Search. This is more or less the same kit as the 2.0 GT High Mecha series kit that came out over the fall that had the 20-some-odd part engine in it. However, this kit does not include the engine, and it has the old motorized chassis in it too. Now, I believe that you probably could take the modern suspension and the high mecha engine and put it into this, but it would be a heck of a lot easier to take the Longchamp wheels, because that's really the only thing about this that's different. Take the Longchamp wheel set that's in this and put it on the other kit, or just go out and buy a set of Longchamp's things, because I really don't believe that there's really going to be enough there that justify buying the kit even at $13, because of you just had the kit come out with an engine and everything in it. I don't understand exactly why this would need to be reissued again, other than the fact that, like I said, they're putting window masks in it. The other one's a little more obscure, and it's making the Honda fanboys out there either scream with enthusiasm or misery, depending on how they look at this. This is the Miracle. I don't know why, because it's got an attachment to an anime series that the car has really nothing to do with in the way it's been released in the past. I don't even actually think it's been boxed in the anime series, but it is a 1996 EK4 Honda Civic SIR2. A lot of people would recognize that kit as being one of the harder to get a hold of Fujimi Civic kits. It's not the early EK9 kit that seems to really, 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 really turn people's cranks. as far as paying way too much for something like that, but it is pretty much the next thing down. Why I say excitement is, of course, you can't find them. I believe the last time it was run was in the Mountain Pass series, and that was something like 10 years ago, or so, give or take. They're saying it's like a long-requested revival, is how they describe the kit, with window mast this time, so yay, window mast. But like looking on eBay for this kit, you're going to find like 3 EK4 Civics online right now, and they start at $50 and go up to about $100, which is really ridiculous when you realize how much these kits cost new. I mean, it's a curbside Honda Civic. It's probably like 60 parts, and it's going to run like $14 now. So that's why I'm saying some people are excited because they get a kit they can't find and don't want to pay a lot of money for $14. All the people who collect kits, well, they're crying because now their kit is virtually worthless. Well, it's worth $14 because it's going to be in the exact same box, the exact same decals that it had the last time it came out in the Mountain Pass box series. So, you never, unless you really sit there and scrutinize the copyright dates and stuff like that, and you have to have a earlier boxing of it. There's no difference, and so there will be a destruction of kit value, and we always love that because guys, they're models. Build them. Don't collect them with the idea they're going to retire on them, because it's just not going to happen for you. Lastly, they were going to reissuing the 1971 Nissan Skyline GTR race car kit. This is done as the Japan Grand Prix. It's going to have the ability to build with the decals to either do a first-place car or a second-place car. I think they've redone this kit a number of different ways since tooling it up this way, because I believe one of them is still actually in stock right now. But this particular car and this particular variation has not been available for probably, again, another decade and a half. It's another long-requested revival kit, according to Fujimi. It is a curbside. If you're looking to build an actual just 2000 GTR hardtop, because that's basically what this is, the KPC G10 version of the Skyline that ran from late 60s to early 70s, the Tamiya kit, obviously for road cars, is the much better choice. It's full detail. They just did the street custom version and all the rest of that happiness. But if you're doing a race car version, well, this sort of the only way to go about it. It is a curbside kit, but it's not a like antique curbside kit. So it's not formally motorized, but you do realize that the engine is engraved into the chassis and all that sort of stuff. So unlike the 73 Charger 73 GTR that we'll be talking about here in a second, is not a full detail kit. There's not an engine in it or anything like that. I don't know how successful a kit bash trying to take the two cars, like the racing version, is interior and stuff, and putting it in the Tamiya kit would be necessarily, because it is a completely stripped interior. There's no hint of anything resembling a actual street car in this. It's just basically all the interior sheet metal is exposed. There's barely a dashboard. It just has like a set of gauges for the cluster. There's no actual like dashboard itself. It's a neat little piece if you're into building vintage Japanese racing kits, but it's not it's not a step down like the GT3 cars are. If you look at the GT3 cars when you're building the Z4, the SLS AMG, or the 12C, you can see where if you really wanted to spend a lot of time with it, you could probably turn it back into a street car again. And you're not going to do that with, well, you probably could do it with this, but it's going to take even more work since there's no interior at all in it. And that right now, guys, is what we have for the April spot runs. Looking at Hasegawa's website, and they are the distributor in Japan for for ICM. They're saying that the 15th of March is when they expect to be getting the 2010. Wow, I gotta go to bed. The 1910 Ford Model A Touring. So that may be, if that holds true, then that means that kit is much closer than anybody expected it to be. I don't know when it was supposed to come out, because it was supposed to be out in January, but the little Roadster was 6 months late, so I didn't necessarily expect to see it before summer. But like I said, Hasegawa is their distributor, and they're saying the 15th. So we'll see what shows up on Monday. Over to what we have release-wise. We'll go through the reissues real quick because all of these reissues, guys, are shelf stuffers, like we've talked about before. None of these kits were out of production. None of them were missing. They're just restocking shelves. And you got a couple of drift cars and a GTR. This is, of course, the Nissan GTR Spec V. The Spec V was a Japan-only version of the GTR. It is, if you're looking at it going, that's kind of an odd black. It's not, it's purple. It's molded in that sort of weird blackish purple. I don't know how exactly close you could get that, trying to paint it. I'm not sure if Scale Finishes or anybody has that color. I haven't looked, obviously, because I wouldn't be saying I don't know if I, did know. But, it gives you, it's basically the 2008 GTR kit. 2009, they added the wheels. There's a set of like racing style seats inside, and a new front bumper that includes that bottom little lip that goes around the front there. But otherwise, it's just a regular GTR kit. One of Aoshima's GTRs. If you've built any of them, then you know what to expect out of this. I guess the only other thing to mention, it does have the engine insert, if you want to call it that. It's probably more of an engine than any of the other GTR kits will offer you, but it still has like no bottom to it. The chassis on these are completely curbside, and then the engine builds up, from the top basically. And you have two drift. That kit's I think it was a February kit, right? Yeah, that's a February kit. And then another February kit is the Kuni Z tuning series JX100 Toyota Chaser. You're getting basically what is just a regular, what they call catalog kit, unassembled promotional, that kind of curbside, real basic curbside, with a bunch of aerodynamic parts thrown in the mix. This kit itself was tooled in 1999, with the wheels were tooled in 2002, and then all the aero parts were tooled in 2004. So it is a modern kit. You're not going to get stuck with any kind of, motorized chassis or anything else like that, but it is a curbside. The other one, and this is a March reissue, is the Wonder Tuning House Nissan Cefiro A31. Now this, guys, is an old kit that has been like sprinkled with fairy dust a couple of years ago, basically. The original tooling for the Cefiro comes from 1988, so you are getting the generic Nissan motorized chassis. It's not a badly motorized chassis in this compared to like some of the other stuff that Aoshima has run out. You do get like new front struts with great big cross-drilled brakes and stuff like that, so they had to change some things because those struts and the rear uprights and all that stuff with these big brakes and big tires they put in there wouldn't fit the kit otherwise. But the kit, like I said, the kit itself is based from 1988, and then your wheels were tooled up in 2000, and then the drift body parts, the new front bumper and the side skirts and everything else, was tooled up in 2005. Like I said, this may be the one kit out of everything other than the four-door GTR that was actually not in production right now, but it wasn't a hard kit to find either, so... if you're interested in it, it's back out there. Just be aware you're getting, like I said, an older chassis with like the tongue depressor style, steering action, if you want to call it that. And that takes us to the stuff that came out that's quote unquote new this month. This is going to be all Fujimi stuff, and that goes the Ferrari F12 Berlinetta. This is a full detail kit. It's 109 parts. It's not exactly completely a full detail kit in the sense that it doesn't have a full engine in it. Now, when you build it up, will you get an engine, that's passable and no one will ever know? Sure, because, of the enclosed nature of the hood area of the modern Ferrari. But you can't pull this engine out of this kit and put it in something else. There's not anything to do that with, really. It's sort of like, sides and top of a block with the air intake on it. But, it'll end up looking passable once the kit's built. The doors do open on this. They are fixed one way or the other. They're either open or closed. They don't actually function out of the box. And probably one of the biggest problems people have with this kit, just as it stands, is the fact that it came out in 2014, the very beginning of the year, and it has the seats are engraved into the bottom of the seats, I should say, not the whole seat, obviously, but the bottom of the seat is engraved in the interior pan. It's also got a pretty chintzy suspension, but you're not going to see any of that either because of the way the basically you have an entirely aerodynamic chassis pan on this thing. But I don't understand why. It's a cost-saving thing. I know. I understand that, but I still don't know why, really, when you're charging, $35, $40 for something, that giving me separate seats, entirely separate seats, without just having the seat backs be separate is a big deal. If you really want to see the insides of this kit and a good assessment of it, head on over to ELP Modeling. Elliot did a review of this last month. It's probably still on the first page of his review stuff. He'll give you, really good insight into it. Got to be subscribed to him anyway. But if you're not, go check it out if you're interested in it. This is the DX version, and that's what's being reissued here. So this does include the factory photo etch with it as well. Moving along, you got the 1996 Nissan S14 Silvia. This kit is unique in the sense that it can be built either way the box art shows. Now, obviously, it can't be built both ways at the same time, but it does include all the parts to build it one way or the other. So you can either build a factory aero package Silvia or that Autech tuning house version that's in the foreground there. You're getting 2 sets of wheels, 2 sets of tires, or not, well, I don't think actually 2 sets of tires, but 2 sets of wheels. There's a different front bumper for the Autech, bigger back spoiler for the Autech, and also has larger brakes and struts and uprights, if you want to call them that, for the Autech as well. So there is basically an entire separate set of suspension pieces included in this kit, so you can, like I said, build this thing one way or the other. It does also include window masks for the first time, so that's not a new kit, or not a new issue, I should say, because the Aero version was available. I think it was actually in stock in a couple different places. The Autech has been out of production for a little while. It was getting kind of pricey on eBay too, but it's a neat kit in that sense that Fujimi and Aoshima have been doing more and more of this, where they're including both of what were separate kits in one box, because these kits were sold obviously separately. There was an Autech kit and then the factory stock kit, and now you can get both in one box. Going along to the 1973 Nissan Skyline GTR KPGC 110. Paging KPGC 110. Your lights are on. Please return to the parking lot. This kit, guys, is just a straight-up reissue of the existing kit. I don't know if this is actually in stock or in production. I got one over the summer last year because it is the only one of this body style Skyline that includes a full detail chassis and engine. That's right. You do get an entire engine with this. Transmission and oil pan included. It's not just an insert. The center of the rear differential and the drive shaft are molded into the chassis. However, everything else, all the other parts, the exhaust, all the suspension, and like I said, a fairly robust engine. I mean, it's 15, 18 parts like a U.S. kit engine would be, are all separate. The only sort of new thing about this kit and why it's being released right now, other than the fact that the engine and the suspension and stuff like that were run off recently with that Fairlady 432R that was run last month, because that 432R includes the engine out of this kit, is the fact they're also giving you the offset staggered Watanabes with this, and a completely separate set of wheels and tires for them. You get these steel wheels that are on this box art, but you also get a staggered set of Watanabes, big and littles, if you will. And you also get a completely separate set of like suspension struts and shocks and brake set for the bigger sets of wheels and tires. There's no real representative way I can show it to you other than to go on to the next kit, and that's this Nissan Fairlady ZL. The ZL was a Japanese specific, both these Fairladys I'm going to show you are Japanese specific, in the sense that they were not part of the Datsun 240Z lineup here in the States. You can sort of see the Watanabes peeking out of this box art. Also run was the 240ZG. Now the ZG has the aerodynamic nose, so the shark nose extension, known as the G nose here in the United States, because the Datsun dealers did offer that nose, that fiberglass nose extension here in the States to put on your Datsun. Those wheels on this box art are the factory wheel covers. Both kits include both sets of wheels and tires. So you get a factory stock set of wheel covers and a factory stock set of wheels, as well as the staggered big and little wheels and the big and little Watanabes. You also get both these Fairladys are full detail. They have a complete engine in them, transmission. Everything is separate again except the drive shaft and the center of the rear differential. The only difference between these two kits in it all is the fact, like I said, this one has the aerodynamic little nose extension, and obviously this one does not. The ZG is a racing-inspired car. It was done for Group 3 rally homogenization purposes. Neither one of these cars, as they stand, were available in the United States. However, both of these kits do include left-hand drive, left-hand wipers, Western mirrors, and so you could make. There's no Datsun decals, mind you, but you could make a left-hand drive car and just say, well, I ordered my Genos up through the Datsun dealership, and I got some Nissan badging for it while I was at it. I only ordered the ZG because to me the ZL is just the Z432R without the fender flares and stuff on it. But I will be building my ZG with the Watanabes because personally I feel that those wheel covers are ugly. I don't care how factory stock that is. And I think, guys, that's it as far as this week goes. Like I said, second and fourth week of the month are turned out to be my favorite times to do the show because we get all the new stuff. This is usually the second week, and the fourth week we're getting all the U.S. kit issues. Gets a chance to actually pick up and look at stuff. So the Japanese stuff I tell you about, but I don't see it until I ship it out of Japan. Months later. Obviously the U.S. stuff I can pick up and look at my local hobby shop. Next week will probably be pretty slow because all the Fujimi stuff is out. There's only about 5 kits and 4 wheel sets due out of Aoshima, and now we know the Aventador is put off until April. And then you've got the big ticket Tamiya 300 SL, but that may come out the end of next week because usually the end of the third week seems to be when the Tamiya kits come out. It may roll into the fourth week. You can't tell. They have no, set release schedule for their stuff. Their stuff comes out when it's ready. And, can't say much more than that. And all the Fujimi stuff being out now, than the missing Lotus Europa, there's nothing there. And we're not really expecting much of, this is here's March's page right here, guys. It's, it's pretty blank here in the middle where Hasegawa or, anybody else would be, and so there's not really a whole lot of stuff carrying over. So probably gonna be another short video next week. So I'm glad you tuned in this week. Your 33 minutes of the Stash Project with your host. See you guys on the other side.